Hello everyone, Krexa Prime here, and today I'm going to be answering some of your questions. And I'm going to be going from the oldest ones up to the most recent ones. So to start off here, we have Bionicle Apple, and he asks, how did you get into mocking? Well, I think when I was about 5 or 6, I got my first really big box of Lego parts, and there were some Bionicle parts in there as well. Parts from these sets, Turag of a Comma from 2001, and then the first Toagali set from 2001 too. So using those parts, I kind of created some random stuff, and I guess that was my first like mocking experience, I guess you could say. And then just over the next couple of years, with the other Bionicle sets I got, you know, obviously there were different things I made, like different Toa, different Matoran characters. And then I went through kind of a dark age where I was disinterested in Bionicle shortly after it was canceled in 2010. And in 2014 I saw the Bionicle films for the first time. And so that really got me back into Bionicle, and then like a year after that, the Bionicle reboot, Bionicle G2 came back, and that was a real inspiration to me. And so in, I think, January of 2016, I actually started mocking a whole lot more. Before that, I was doing a little bit with some of the new G2 sets I had bought, using those parts to make mocks. But at the beginning of 2016, I started using more G1 parts in the builds of the different mocks I was making. And then I also used some G2 parts, and so now I have a lot of different mocks that are more complicated, and they utilize parts from both G1 and G2, and obviously a bunch of different Technic pieces and stuff. And I actually do have a lot of mocks that I've made now, but a lot of them have not shown up in videos because I'm saving them for other different series that I'm working on, and hopefully they'll show up sometime. But unless I have a video and a series ready to show them off, they won't be shown, but I will let you guys know if that ever becomes the case. So, Bionicle Apple, I hope that answers your question. The next question, UTG Sans 15 asks, if you had to make your self-mock a Bioformer, what would it be? Well, I don't know too much about the whole Bioformer thing. I think it's like kind of Bionicle and Transformers combined or something. I haven't really thought about it that much. I'm not super into Transformers. I know some of the characters. If I had to make myself mock a Bioformer, it would probably have elements from Optimus Prime and maybe Hot Rod integrated. I don't know. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, UTG Sans 15. Okay, Fire Lord asks, what was your original channel's name before Krexa Prime? So I assume you're talking about just my channel name, which is Krexa Productions. So my channel name before, it's been quite a while now, but I think it was just my real life name, like my first name and my last name. That was the name of my YouTube channel. And since rebranding, I don't like to talk about like my real name and stuff. But if you watch some of my older videos from a couple years ago, it'll have my name in the credits. And there were before I changed the channel to Krexa Productions, like fully, like that's the official name now. I was just going through a bunch of different ideas. I can't remember any off the top of my head right now, but I think the names for my channel have only been my real name and then Krexa Productions. Like that's what it's been named to officially. Those are the only two ones that like officially went through at all. So I hope that answers your question, Fire Lord. next question comes from Megaben2, and he asks, how did you get so good at stop motion? Well, I'd say I'm fairly good at it. I mean, I'm not like top tier, obviously, and you guys know that. But I guess we'll just start from the beginning. Back in 2012, I had some friends who were using their Lego creations and Lego minifigures to make movies, and they were doing stop motion animation, and I really did not know about this until they started showing me some of their videos, and I asked them how it was made. And they had an older computer, so they were using an older version of Windows Movie Maker, but I was fascinated by it. And so my early videos early on were Lego Star Wars stop motions, and so I think the first one that I did, it never got completed because I was using an old computer to edit it, and then like it broke and files got lost and stuff. But anyways, I made like a Republic base on some jungle planet with a bunch of clone troopers, and then there was like a probe droid, and then like a droid army attacked, and the clones had to defend the base. So a very basic premise. But yeah, back when I was starting out, I only used like 6 frames per second. So it was very choppy looking. But I mean, I guess when you're starting out, you know, especially with this stuff, stop motion, some people use lower frame rates, and that's cool. I mean, if you're starting out. And then as I went on and made different, primarily Lego Star Wars stop motions, I would up the frame rate, so like 7, 8, and then I don't think I ever did it at 9, I just went to 10. And then for a while, a lot of my stop motion stuff was at 10. My last Lego Star Wars stop motion I was actually going to release on my channel here. It was Republic at War Episode 1, Crystal Bounty. I got the whole thing edited and finished, but when I uploaded it to YouTube, it like blocked it in all these countries because I had copyrighted music in it. And I was really sad because I'd spent almost 2 years working on it. That and a lot of my other earlier stuff, especially my early Bionicle videos that had some stop motion in them, they were like 10 frames per second. Now I think most of the time I use like 15 frames per second frame rate, and sometimes like 20. And then like the stop motion animation itself, obviously it's a thing that you have to learn. And like starting out, when I was just moving around like Lego minifigures, hands or legs or weapons or whatever, you know, I'd like have them holding their lightsaber here or something, like I was animating a Jedi, and then take a picture, and then I'd like, you know, probably put it like their arm up right here, and then take another picture. But you know, it's kind of choppy. When I was starting out, I didn't know you're supposed to do it like really slowly, like movement here, and take a picture, then move it very slightly and take a picture. And obviously that takes more time. And so if you invest in this hobby and want to keep going at it and spending more time at it to make your things look more like professional, then obviously you're going to have a higher frame rate, and you're going to learn to animate with smoother movement for your characters and your props and everything. It's kind of one of those things where you're self-taught, and then I've also looked up tutorials online for different people who have experience doing it, just to get some ideas and tips on how to animate things better. I hope that answers your question, Megaben2. Okay, Bionic Krexa, I think that's how you say it, Bionic Krexa. He asks, what type of shows do you like? So I'm assuming you're talking about TV shows and that sort of thing. I haven't watched too many TV shows. Like when I was growing up, my family didn't get cable or anything. So if I watched a TV show or something, I'd like borrow a season of like the DVDs from my friend or something. But some of the shows that I really like are the Star Wars: The Clone Wars series. It's my favorite Star Wars series. Not much into Star Wars Rebels. It's a little bit too childish for me. But Star Wars: The Clone Wars is really good. I also like Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu. I'm not super into it, but it's a pretty good show for what it is. Legends of Chima I actually liked for a while. like when the theme came out, obviously it was really weird and kind of creepy. And then after 2.5 years of hating on it, I checked out the show, and it was actually surprisingly good, and I actually kind of had an obsession with it for a while. I mean, it's not like a super great series or anything, but it's better than a lot of you might think. So I'd encourage you to check it out. Maybe check out a few episodes and see what you think about it. I'm also a big fan of Ruby, the animated series that Rooster Teeth does. I got into it from a friend telling me about it back at my work in summer of 2016. He actually had one of the soundtracks playing while we were driving home from work. We're like, oh, what is this music from? And so he told me about that, and I've kind of been obsessed with it ever since. I do like the earlier seasons a lot better than the new ones, or I guess you can call them volume seasons, whatever. But Volume 5 was pretty disappointing to me. I felt there was some lazy writing and stuff. But I hope that Season 6 is better, and that it just has better writing, and it can just be a good thing for everybody. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of TV shows, so those are just a couple of the ones I've seen, but I hope that answers your question, Bionic Krexa. Titan Productions Mox and More asks, what was your first Bionicle set? So my first Bionicle set that I ever remember getting was Dekar from 2007 in the Mari wave, and I think, yeah, I got him around Christmas time. I also got Tomari Kongu on Christmas too. So yeah, I got two sets, like first ones, I guess, but I'm pretty sure Dekar was the first one I opened, and I loved his flame yellowish orange color scheme, or bright orange color scheme, whatever you want to call it. He had some really cool parts. I love his mask, very cool design, very cool colors. And then Tomari Kongu, it's one of the weaker Mari sets, but I really like him even though he looks kind of silly. He has two big he has two big Mari blasters. And I like his mask a lot, and the dark green parts were very cool, but he was one of the sets that I saw in the store when I was first getting a Bionicle. I'm like, oh, they have Bionicle sets in the stores, that's really cool. And I was like, oh, I want Toa Kongu because he's the green one, and green is my favorite color. And so, yeah, those were the first Bionicle sets I got, but pretty sure Dekar was the first one that I opened, so he'd be like the first of the first ones. So I hope that answers your question, Titan Productions, Mox and More. Toa MK12 asks, where did you get the inspiration for Krexa, and are you planning on doing a stop-motion series? Yeah, that's kind of a tough question, because for a while when I was thinking about, okay, I'm rebranding my channel and it's going to be about Bionicle and stuff, I'm like, you know what, I really need to make myself a self-mock. I need to have a self-mock. And I was like, well, what should I do? And I was originally going to have one self-mock that had white, pearl dark gray, or gunmetal gray, and dark green color scheme. But my friend Thatch already had a character with white and green. You guys probably know him, Camillio. So I was like, I could still go with the white and green, but I think I'm going to do something a little more unique, a little different. So I was like, okay, Trance Purple is a really cool new color from Bionicle G2, because we had seen that color a lot more, and we got some cool parts. And I'm like, I'm going to utilize some of those parts. But I also really like Toa Kopaka. Like, Toa Kopaka is one of my favorite Toa. Like, I'd say probably in my top 3. And he's just really cool looking, and I love his mask. So I was like, okay, I'll use white in the color scheme, and hey, he'll use the Kopaka mask, because, I mean, it's pretty cool. The 2016 Uniter mask of us, I love that mask. And you've probably seen I like way too many of them. If you saw Walk Outside with Krexa. But yeah, I used that mask for him, and then I was like, okay, I'll just put in a little bit of silver, just to kind of mesh with the, the weird kind of dark gray feathery stuff that all the Uniters have on the back of their masks. And at one point, I guess I thought a cape would look cool on him, and I'd just gotten a cape from the Furno XL set, so I try to integrate that into his build. Yeah, I mean, not much inspiration beyond what I just shared. I guess the transferable parts I thought were cool, so I wanted to use those on a mock, and I don't know, Kopaka was kind of an inspiration too. So yeah, I mean, I hope that answers your question, Toa MK12. Lena Valtopaz asks, how did you come up with your self-mock's design? So, I mean, I kind of touched on some of the other stuff with the last comment, but I wanted to do something a little different with Krexa, because he's a Toa, and, you know, Toa kind of have specific, they kind of have more of a smooth look like most of them, and kind of armor plating that goes together with, you know, most of the sets in each wave. But I was like, I think I want Krexa to be a little bit more rigid in his design, a little bit more rugged. So I like to have spikes on his shoulder pads, obviously, and then he has like the spiky Inika feet in white. So I used those, and I don't know. I didn't want him to be super tall. I kind of wanted him to be smaller, like about the size of one of the small 2015 Toa. So yeah, I also wanted to use the Hero Factory torso armor plate, because I really like that piece. Although you can kind of see the H in the middle, which is kind of annoying. So when I updated Krexa a little bit, because you'll see in some of my videos over the time I've updated his build a tiny little bit, like in each one. But I put a white hero core in there, so it's a little bit harder to see because it's covered. But yeah, I wanted to use that piece. Oh, and also the spiky skeleton ribcage piece from 2015 in trance purple. I wanted to use that because I was like, that'd be kind of unique on a self-mock. So yeah, I guess just more of a rugged design, some spikes here and there. I mean, there wasn't much inspiration beyond that, but that's kind of what it is. I hope that answers your question, Lena Valtopez. The next question we have from Terminathan1001 says, your self-mock is so cool. Thank you, Terminathan. And how much do you have of Bionicle / Hero Factory? I mean, I've never really, like, counted how many sets I have, or how many pieces even. I mean, probably not many people do that. I do have a fairly large amount. I have like a whole under the bed box, like about this big, mostly full of parts, Bionicle and Hero Factory. I don't use it too much, but it's full of parts. It's kind of stored away somewhere. I have a bunch of different boxes about yay high and this wide, filled with Bionicle parts, and then I have every G2 set and a bunch of the exclusive masks and stuff. I have a good amount of G1 stuff. It's mostly the 2001 to 2003 stuff, and a bunch of random parts. I don't have too many Hero Factory sets. I really can't name off the ones I do have, but you've seen some of the ones in my videos, and those are most of the ones that I do have. So I can't really give like an estimate of how many I have. I haven't really thought about it that much. I have a good amount. I have a pretty large amount. It's not like my room is like covered in it or anything, but I have a lot of them. So I mean, maybe if I do a collection video or sometime, that would help you guys get a better idea of how much Bionicle / Hero Factory stuff I have. So I hope that kind of answers your question, Terminathan1001. Alright, the next question we have is from Renzo Mox, and he says, hey Krexa. Hey Renzo. Curious, what's your favorite G1, G2, and Hero Factory set? This should be interesting. My favorite Bionicle G1 set would probably have to be the original Toa Tahu set from 2001. I mean, classic Tahu. You can't go wrong. The flame sword, the gun arm thing. I mean, he looks pretty cool. Obviously, in terms of today's LEGO construction stuff, he's really basic with his design and kind of limited in posability. But I like the classics, and I mean, he was one of the first Bionicle sets that I got. I found him at thrift shop. I found him at a Goodwill for like $2, and he was complete. And I had gotten a Bionicle, the official guide to Bionicle book, and he was one of the Toa sets in there, so I thought it was really cool when I found it. But that's my favorite G1 set, I'd say. G2 set. You know, there's a lot of G2 sets I don't like, but there are also a lot of ones that are really cool. I really like Kopaka Uniter 2016, and obviously he's packaged with Mellum and the Kopaka and Mellum Unity set. That's a really good set. You know, the color scheme is kind of weird, but I really like the design and the way the designer integrated different parts into his build. And then Umarak the Hunter is also a really cool set. I mean, I didn't think at first that I would like him because he has a very basic kind of drab color scheme, but it kind of just works, and the build is fairly interesting, and he's really tall and looks very menacing, so that's also a great G2 set. Favorite Hero Factory set? I haven't really stopped to think about this. You know, it's like I could say one that I don't own, but I'm trying to think if I should kind of stay in the parameters of sets I already do own. You know, Breakout Rocket is actually a really cool set. I just got him like a month ago. I really liked all the different gold pieces and the holographic shield type pieces that he has on his arm. That's pretty cool. And then his golden Zamrosphere launcher, I mean, that's pretty sick looking. So he's a really good set. He's probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite Hero Factory set at this time out of the ones I own. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Renzomox. Okay, the next question we have is from Thatchback. He says, I have a few. 1, what is your favorite movie? This is a tough one because I have a lot of different movie franchises, movie series that I'm into, and a bunch of standalone movies that I like, so it'd be kind of hard to narrow it down to one. Probably my favorite movie would be The Adventures of Tintin from 2011, directed by Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson. That was a really fun movie, and I'm a fan of the comic book series by Hergé. I'm trying to remember his name is pronounced kind of weird. But anyways, I think it's a Belgian comic book series, but it's actually really cool. I've read all 23 of the books, and the movie was an adaptation of 3 of the comic books, and it was a really good adaptation. I really love computer animation and stuff, and so the way they integrated the computer animation in the movie with the live actors, it just looked very fluid and very cool, very realistic, and so I just really loved the movie. The story was good, the characters, the music was by John Williams, and the musical score in that film was fantastic. So that's definitely a really great movie and probably my favorite one. The second question is, who is your favorite Matoran? I guess in terms of sets, maybe not characters necessarily. I really like Photok, just the bright orange in his set. And then also Tanma with the lime green and the swords, and his mask looks pretty cool. Yeah, so those would be some of my favorites, I guess. I'd have to really think about what is my all-time favorite one. 3, what is your favorite cereal? I really like Fruit Loops a lot. Usually the Fruit Loops brand, not like the off-brand stuff. But Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal is really, really good. At least I think it is. I was kind of obsessed with that at one point. I was like buying a lot of it. So I only have it sometimes now, but that's a really good cereal, so that's probably my favorite type of cereal right now. 4, if you could only eat 3 different foods for the rest of your life, what would they be? Oh my gosh, Thatch, you're asking the hardest questions. 3 different foods, only 3 for the rest of my life. Well, 1 would probably have to be deep dish Chicago-style pizza, because I really, really love pizza. Probably some sort of Chicago-style pizza with, like, the green peppers and the sausage and the pepperoni, like if a restaurant had their own special kind like that. Or like a meat lover's pizza, because I like meat a lot. 2 left, oh boy. Probably have to add on something healthy just so I wouldn't die as easily. I really like grapes, so maybe grapes. I'm always looking to eat more of those. I wouldn't really mind that. What if I'd like to eat those like every day for the rest of my life, though? So those are 2. I have to come up with one more now. Carrots are good, and they're healthy, so I'd probably go with carrots. So deep dish Chicago-style pizza, grapes, and carrots. Those would probably be the 3 different foods that I would eat if those were the only 3 foods that I could eat for the rest of my life. 5th question, favorite letter of the alphabet. It would probably have to be J, but K comes in as a close second. 6, favorite type of cheese. Oh boy. I do like cheddar, but that's kind of standard. Provolone cheese is really good, or Munster. I'd have to say that pepper jack is probably my favorite kind. 7, favorite Titan set from any construction theme. Definitely 2003 Makuta. He's just a classic set. I love his design. I love all the pieces that the designers put into his build. You know, he's definitely one of the earlier sets, not super complex and definitely smaller than a lot of them, but I just really love the guy. I just really like that set, so he's probably my favorite one. 8, who would you cast as Kopaka and Tahu in a hypothetical live-action Bionicle movie? I definitely cast Steve Downes as Kopaka. And for those of you who don't know, Steve Downes is the voice actor for the Master Chief in the Halo games. So he would just sound really cool as Kopaka, honestly. And for Tahu, I'd have to say maybe Ben Affleck. I mean, I think he might be able to voice him well. Other than that, I mean, I'm not really sure. So, Thatchmac says, that's all I got. So, thank you for all the questions, Thatchmac, and I hope I was able to answer some of them. Next question we have is from Jason Rice Gaiman. He says, here's a few. 1, where's the best place to get Bionicle parts? Bricklink. Definitely Bricklink. 2, what inspires you to make videos? Well, I mean, I guess inspiration comes from a variety of places. Whether it's something going on in my personal life or some nostalgic memories of past years of Bionicle, or it could be a film or a video game. I mostly play computer games, so some of the computer games that have inspired me are different games in the Halo series, games in the Half-Life series, and also in the Dreamfall, the Longest Journey series. Just some of those games have really inspired me and I enjoy playing them. But yeah, I mean, it all kind of depends on the video and what's going on in my life and stuff I've just experienced. But yeah, those are some of the things that kind of inspire me, I guess. 3, have you painted any of your parts? And how did you do it? 2 days ago, on Friday, I just used some yellow spray paint to paint a G2 Mask of Earth. So I painted that yellow, I spray painted it, and it actually looks really good. It turned out really nice. I also tried to spray paint a G2 Mask of Water, and that didn't turn out super well, but the Mask of Earth did. Yeah, those are really the only parts that I've painted so far. So if I do paint anymore, I'll probably be using spray paint. I have gotten some of the hand-painted masks from Modalt before, but I haven't really hand-painted anything myself. Yeah, so I hope that kind of answers some of your questions, Jason Rice Game. Okay, the next question we have is from Ice Cold Productions, Lego Creations, and more, and he says, I've seen you primarily use newer Bionicle in Hero Factory, but do you have any mocks that primarily use original Bionicle pieces? And if so, could you please show them? So like I said in an earlier question, yes, I do have some creations that utilize a lot of the older Bionicle parts from Generation 1. And they also have some of the G2 CCBS construction parts integrated in Technic pieces. So I do have some mocks that use those pieces, but I just haven't shown them in videos yet because I'm not ready to put out the series that will feature them. So you may see some of them in the future, and if or slash when I do, I'm really excited to show them to you guys. So I hope that answers your question, man. What's your favorite wave of Hero Factory? Favorite wave of Hero Factory, definitely Breakout. There's just some really cool sets there, and I like all of the hero designs. I just thought they were cool. How do you animate? Usually I just have the figures on the table, and I animate the different limbs or head movements or legs or whatever. I try to move them very slowly and then take a picture and then pose them again and take a picture slowly. So I guess it just takes a lot of time. I try to make the movements more fluid now, more than I used to, and you know, just taking a lot of time on it and stuff. I don't really know how to answer that question much more than that. Can you give some animation tips? Animation tips. Well, I'd say it all depends on what you're going for, because you can make good stop motion and have a lower frame rate, but if you want it to be more professional and stuff, obviously you're going to have to spend a lot of time on it, and you're going to have to use different techniques sometimes. So if you just kind of want to make a quick video, I'd say, you know, maybe move the characters' limbs and their head or whatever. Just move it a little bit more slowly if you want it to look good, and move the weapons more slowly and carefully. And also look at different moving people and animals for reference. Like if somebody's walking, if you're trying to make a character walk, just like watch a video of somebody walking, or walk around and then like watch what your legs and your arms are doing, so you can kind of replicate that. Like that's what I've tried to do sometimes. Just things like that. And if you want to make a longer video that you want to spend a lot more time on, that's cool too. So I just say, you know, do your best. Spend a long time on it if you can. Being careful to watch those different movements and try to make it as fluid as possible, and also realistic if you want to do that. You know, like I said, just look at reference, and yeah, so those are some tips for that. What's your favorite generation of Bionicle? Definitely Generation 1. It just has much better lore, much better sets, much better characters. I love the more serious tone, unlike some of the goofy stuff we got in G2, although G2 is pretty cool. Generation 1 definitely tops it, and most of my childhood was spent growing up with the Generation 1 of Bionicle, so I just really prefer that more, and personally think it's a better series. It's a lot more deep and stuff. So definitely Generation 1. All right, so I hope that answers some of your questions. Zachary Toe of Crystal asks, can you do a how-to on your self-mock? I was thinking about doing one of those videos soon. I might do a Let's Build or something in the future, but I'll let you guys know if I'm going to do that. I may do it, so hope that answers your question, Zachary Toa of Crystal. Derby Dragon 2000 asks, who's your favorite Toa, and who's your favorite Hero Factory hero? Favorite Toa? It's probably a tie between Tahu, Likon, and Kopaka. I don't think they look very cool, and I like their personalities. If I had to pick one, though, it would probably be Kopaka. He's probably my favorite one. And favorite Hero Factory hero? I really like Bulk. I just like his silver color scheme, and especially the Savage Planet version of him with like his wolf mask. It looks very cool. So definitely, I'd probably have to say Duncan Bulk is my favorite Hero Factory hero. So I hope that answers your question. Looks like the last question we have is from Otto von Doom. And his first question is, what's your favorite song? You can add more than one. Most of the stuff I listen to is like soundtracks from video games and movies, so in that way it's kind of hard to pick different ones out, because like if you have an album like that where it's mostly just music and not lyrics, then it can be kind of hard to remember the names because they all kind of mesh together musically. I really like some of the songs by the band Evanescence. Some of my favorites would have to be Going Under, Erase This, Never Go Back. Those are all some good ones. I also like a lot of the songs from the Ruby soundtracks. I have this weird obsession with listening to I Burn over and over. So I Burn is a really good song, and also the remix is really, really cool. Also, Die is a pretty good song from the Ruby Volume 2 soundtrack. I guess, yeah, those are all mostly lyrical ones. I like a lot of music from Nathan First, Nathan Lanier, Simon Poole, Leon Willett. His one soundtrack is really good. You have to check it out. A lot of different composers. Harry Gregson Williams. There's just a lot of really good composers out there. So I listen to different albums, different soundtracks by them. It's kind of hard to pinpoint different ones with the music when it's just like a soundtrack and there's no lyrics. But yeah, so I guess those would be some of my favorite songs and composers and types of music. What's your favorite era of Bionicle? You can have more than one. Favorite era. So I'm assuming, and I'm assuming here, you mean like the settings for the different years. Obviously, I really like 2001 to 2003. Metro New York from 2004 is really cool, and in the Bionicle community, it seems to be forgotten a lot. At least I think there's not a lot of like stop motion series and stuff about it. So Metro New York is definitely really cool. I also like Ignition year 3, so like 2008 with all the continuity stuff. I like that to a degree. 2006 is pretty cool too. I mean, with the Praka and the Toa and Nika. I like how it picks up because, in 2004 and 2005 we have the Metro New York stuff, so it kind of took a turn there, but then it kind of returned back to normal in 2006. And the Bionicle Heroes video game is from that year too, which is also another game that I really like. So those are all some good years. I'm not much of a fan of 2009 and 2010. Some of the sets are kind of cool, but this generally cut it for me. 3, what's your favorite mock besides your self-mock? I definitely have a favorite one, but I haven't really revealed this mock to you guys publicly yet. This mock does show up in one of my older videos, but only one time, and it wasn't a finalized version of this character. So this mock may show up in a later series down the line, but I'm not going to give any information about this character, because I don't want to spoil anything, but that mock would definitely have to be my favorite. 4, who is your favorite actor/actress and why? I don't know. I don't really have like a favorite. I like Chris Pratt a lot, I guess, to a degree. He's been in some pretty cool stuff like Jurassic World and the Lego Movie and Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously. I also really like Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. He's pretty cool. Fine. What's your favorite volume of Ruby? Kind of gave it away with the I May Fall video. Probably have to be Ruby Volume 2. Even though Volume 1 is good, it's just, there's some stuff in there, like animation-wise, that they didn't really touch up because, they were starting out. But Volume 2, they got better with animation. I think the story was better. It was a lot more fun and felt more like just less heavy than some of the later stuff. And Volume 3 was really good, but it kind of marked a whole tonal shift for the series. And while it was good, it was also kind of very dark at the end and kind of violent. So I don't know. Probably Volume 2 is my favorite, although Volume 4 is also really cool too. Who is your favorite Dark Hunter? Favorite Dark Hunter? I always thought Nadhiki looked really cool, and he's green, so I like his color. And just the four-legged design and like the pincher claws, he looked kind of menacing and cool. So he'd probably have to be one of my favorite Dark Hunters. 7, for those uninitiated, what's your self-mock's backstory? So obviously Krexa is a Toa, so he was a Matoran at some point, a Matoran of Ice, but something kind of happened and he became a Toa. And I'm going to elaborate on this in another video soon, so I don't want to give away a lot, but yeah, you guys should be able to see how some of his backstory maybe folds out a little bit in another video I'm going to do. 8. What's the lamest joke you could think of? Probably, what's up, this guy? I mean, that's pretty lame. What's the best joke you can think of? Nexonites. 10. From your perspective, how difficult is stop motion? Be as specific as you can. I don't think it's super difficult, for me at least, but it all comes down to time. Like, for me, I guess I try to spend a lot of time on it, if I am doing it. But, I mean, sometimes it can be kind of difficult if you're trying to move, like, a character very carefully, and they get out of alignment and something moves too quickly. Probably the hardest part for me is animating like walking and fight scenes. Although I really do like animating them, it just takes more time, and you have to be more creative with it and kind of think about like how would a real person or a real character like move, I guess. So those are some things that can be kind of hard, but just good to think about so you're prepared to put it into action when you're animating stop motion. 11. Do you prefer Donald Trump's hair looking like a pile of hair splattered on his head or looking like a frill? No comment. 12. Going off of Thatch's question, who comes to mind as a potential live-action Bionicle character, and who would they play? I think that Ryan Reynolds would actually make a good Matau, or maybe Liwa. And, like, he's a really good actor for the role of Deadpool. Like, he basically is Deadpool. So I could see him pulling off Matau or a different character similar to him. 13. How's progression of Resurrection going? It's going along okay. I haven't worked on it for a while. The last stuff I worked on for it was in March with the Pohatu's Arrival scene. And I don't know, I'm still definitely planning on doing it, but it's just kind of gotten sidetracked a little bit with some of the other videos I've been making. And also for Bionicle Resurrection Chapter 4, there's been some script rewrites and stuff too, and I've already recorded all the dialogue for it, but I might have to re-record or record additional new stuff or the added scenes. So it's kind of a touchy thing, I guess, but that's kind of where I am at with that. I mean, it might come out, the next episode for it might come out this summer, but no promises. However, I am definitely planning on finishing the series sometime when I can. And 14, how was the break? I don't know which break you're talking about specifically, but the breaks I've had, the kind of vacations I went on and stuff, I mean, they were good. So, yeah. It was, or they were good. So, yeah, I think those are all the questions I had that you guys sent in. So, thank you all so much for participating in this. It was really fun getting to read through your questions, kind of to see what you guys were inquiring about and to be able to answer them. And I hope I was able to answer all of them for you guys. So thank you for participating. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to. Check out some of my other videos. And I'll talk to you later. Krexa Prime out.